Hi, this is Benny. I've dedicated my life to understanding the universe in hopes that someday I am given the opportunity to hop on a rocket and see it for myself. Growing up, my safe space was between the covers of a book. My friends were people like Percy Jackson, Alex Rider, Paddington Bear, Beatrice Pryor, Hermione Granger, and the Astrosaurs, a group of crime-fighting dinosaurs in space. And so, using Space Bites, this podcast, I am hoping to create the same type of safe space where knowledge is for everyone and anything is possible. Together, we can marvel at the boundless beauty of the universe and find hope within the delicate intricacies that weave the fabric of our world. If there's one thing we have in common as human beings, it is our curiosity, and a curious mind is a happy one. Together, we will learn how the gold in our rings was made inside of stars, how the flap of butterfly wings can cause an earthquake, how charged particles from the sun interact with Earth's magnetic field to paint the sky with glowing lights, and how math is the language that describes everything. Every atom in your body was created in a star. The carbon in your DNA, the oxygen you breathe, the calcium in your bones, all of it originated in stellar furnaces. This means that quite literally, the universe is in you. You are a product of cosmic alchemy, billions of years in the making. The same processes that formed galaxies also formed you, linking your existence to the vastness of the universe. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Space Bites with Benny. It's me, Benny, your favorite nerd, and this is a special segment of Cosmic Conversations where I interview the people that I did my IIAS training with, and that stands for International Institute of Astronautical Sciences. And the first person that I'm interviewing is someone who's very special. I mean, everyone on the team was special, but especially Noel, because he said something the day that we met that really resonated with me. He said that when he would travel back and forth between the US and India, he knew that he wanted a career where he got to look outside the window because that's what he did growing up. And I thought it was something that was so poetic and so beautiful. And when I think of Noel, I think of the song Danger Zone and I think of aviators. So hi, Noel, and welcome to Space Bite.
Hi, Benan. It's great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Awesome. Doing fantastic.
Are you excited to be on the podcast today?
Yes, this is my first time on a podcast. Looking forward to the conversation. This is exciting.
I'm very excited to have you here. So basically the way that this is going to go is I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions and we're going to talk about how much of an amazing human being you are and your journey of wanting to become an astronaut. Because end of the day, this is what brought us together in the first place. And this is what I want to discuss with you, because it's not every day that you meet people that are so passionate and so determined, especially for a dream as ambitious and as out of this world as wanting to become an astronaut. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Let's get started.
First of all, can you give me a little background about yourself? Like, where are you from? What was the beginning of your journey like? What are your scientific interests?
Yes. So my family is from Kerala, Southwest India, but my parents moved to the US back in the 1980s, and I was born in Columbus, Georgia. I did my undergraduate studies there, of course, high school, even going back to, I was being born there, right? So I was there for 23 years. Then I moved to Boston to work in the biotech industry. So I used to work on a project management team, and we would make medical devices. And I got inspired in terms of aerospace medicine as well over time. And I'll definitely get into that during our conversation. So at the moment, I'm currently building up my flight hours to join the Air Force as an officer, as a second lieutenant. And kind of going back in time, my main aspiration is to become a NASA astronaut in the future and, to explore the cosmos and really be an inspiration for generations to come out there and for the betterment of humanity. And growing up in a small town in Georgia, you may not think that there's so much out there for you, but you never know where life will take you, right? And that's the perspective I've always had. And that's where I am today. And I'm so happy that we met through the International Institute of Astronautical Sciences.
That's very inspiring. And actually, a very cool question. It just popped to my head. You specifically said NASA astronaut. Does that mean you hope to become a more of a governmental employee of NASA rather than, a commercial astronaut for one of the other companies like Blue Origin, for example?
If I could choose, I would rather go the NASA route just because I kind of love the government route as well. But as we grow in the private sector and as, Blue Origin, SpaceX, all these private companies grow, those opportunities are definitely just as amazing. So I'm open to any opportunity out there. that can, help us achieve our goal of getting that human space flight experience, right? But NASA has always been very close to me. A lot of people used to tell me when I was little, when I used to draw pictures of planes and rockets, NASA, Noel. NASA has 4 letters, Noel has 4 letters. They both start with N, right? So
And
for
that's
me,
amazing.
yeah. So that's something that I've always said to myself and kind of seen where, like, that's the trajectory I would want, but I'm open to anything to answer your question.
Okay, that's a very good answer. I like that. And I also like how you're very well spoken, I realize. And I think, is that something that you practice in the mirror? Like, just having like good posture and like speaking in a very specific way. Is that something you practice or does it come to you naturally?
So 2 ways I can answer that. One thing I used to do when I was in high school and college, I would watch a lot of press conferences, whether it's on the news or whether it's sports. And then I wanted to bring that into practice. So at my church, I actually used to do public speaking in front of 1,000 people. And at the beginning, you're a little rusty. So you're going to look at your notes all the time. You may not make so much eye contact. But as you get more experienced, things become more natural, things become more fluid, and it just becomes very easy over time. So my church played an impact, and watching press conferences and kind of making it creative in your own way. It's not just copy paste, you add your own twist to it. But that all happened when I was 16, actually. So more than 10 years now. But
Oh,
there's
that's
always
right.
room for improvements. You never want to be overconfident, right? So the key is
Yeah, no,
to,
of course not. Yes, the key is to stay humble. That's very true. All right, let's talk a little bit about how we met. So again, this was all part of I don't know what the correct wording here would be, but let's call it research studies at the IIAS, part of which includes, these fundamentals of astronautics and a couple of other really cool things. So we met in Melbourne, Florida, and we met the morning when we started training, right? Because your flight was delayed or something, so you were not there the evening before. Am I
yeah.
right?
Yep, that's right. So the flight got delayed. I had a couple extra layovers. I reached there with Agam, one of our mutual friends who was with us. And yeah, we met the following morning in the lobby. And we just had this amazing bond. And I know we're going to go into this. Yeah, go for it.
So, okay, I love talking about this because it's so crazy to me that two people that come from such different backgrounds, from like completely different parts of the world, are brought together because they share a common dream. And again, it's like this idea of finding a thread to connect to other people's lives, right? It's literally we come from different walks of life, and then we have this like connection, this dream. And the reason why it's so inspiring is because, every kid wishes to grow up someday and become an astronaut, right? So it's not even about actually becoming an astronaut, going to space, but rather the journey. Because this journey of wanting to go to space is what brought us together. And I have to say, like us meeting, it has inspired me so much. And it's only been what, like 2-3 months so far, right? And yeah.
Yeah, very short amount of time. But I'm sure I must have told you this at some point, right? It's not the length of time, it's the depth of time, right?
Yes, of course I remember. You're very poetic. That's amazing.
What's
Um,
inspiring. It's like you can talk to anybody in the world, right? No matter what part of life, what walk of life they are, but you're going to find at least one common denominator, something that unites both of you together. And in our case, it's space flight. And there's so much out there for us to explore. Yeah.
well, not only spaceflight, it's the grind that comes with it. It's about, and like this is something that we connected with really well too. It's about being super disciplined in the way that we exercise and eat and managing our time, because we realize you only have so much time to achieve this dream that you really want before it well, I don't want to say before it comes to late, but you don't have a certain amount of time. And within this time, you want to be productive. You want to be inspiring. You want to do so much, right? Not even just to go to space, but just to be a very well-rounded human being.
Exactly. You want to make the most of your time each and every day, and you want to be the best version of yourself. And that version of yourself evolves each and every day as you train and progress. That's the best part,
Wow.
right?
Dude, you should write a book.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe.
So this series, or like this sub-series, is about giving you a platform so that you can advocate for what you believe in, and so that I can help you write your origin story. Because one of these days, you are going to go to space. You're going to become the super famous astronaut, and little kids are going to be coming up to you and asking you all these questions. And then what are you going to say? Just go listen to Space Bites with Benny from my episode, however long ago, and kids will get to hear your voice describing your journey before it actually happens. You know what I mean? It's like a journey, going back in time and listening to young Noel explain what future Noel is going to do. But future Noel also gets to say, if you want to hear about my origin story, just go listen to this amazing
Absolutely.
podcast episode.
100%. And I can't wait to see you out there in space, and you're going to do fantastic each and every step of the journey. I know that.
That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So this episode is going to be cut down to 3 parts. The first part being Noel, the early years, right? Like, how did you realize this dream? What kind of early childhood memories or people helped mold you? And then we're going to move on to your midlife. So the midlife, the middle of your life. So now that you know what your dreams are, how are you going to pursue them? How will you go about achieving them? And then lastly is the present. What are you doing right now to make sure that you can secure this future that you've worked so hard for? So starting off with your early years, tell me, Noel, how did you realize your dream?
So I realized my dreams when I was just 6 years old. I had just finished kindergarten at that time. And one of my favorite things to draw was planes and rockets. I would always do them interchangeably. Plane on one side, a rocket on the back side. And I would show them to my school teachers and my parents. And I used to put that on the fridge. And then we would go to India every 2 years to visit my grandparents since I lived overseas. So at that time, my parents told me, why don't you bring these with you and show them to the pilots when when we fly together, right? Show them that you want to do this in the future. And I also showed the flight attendants as well. And they used to give me these stickers. I used to put it on my shirt, right? And once I got to India, I would give them to my grandparents and they would actually keep them. As the years went on, as you get older, ideally your handwriting gets better, right? So the planes and rockets would advance in terms of like legibility. Let's call it that, right?
That's hilarious. Yes.
Yeah. At the same time. So as you get older, you're becoming wiser. And at the same time, your pictures are getting nicer. So that's kind of my early years. I've always just, as you mentioned at the beginning, like I imagined my future in the sky where I can just look out the window and see the world beneath me.
Wow.
But
Dude,
or, way out into space and you look down and you see where we all are. Yeah.
honestly, like this reminds me of, so David has this VR set in the IIAS lab, and he gave me the VR set to put on, and we played this sort of like International Space Station simulation. And at one point, you kind of leave the ISS and you look down and you see nothing but like this big blue globe, super shiny, and nothing but dark. I cried. I forgot I was on Earth and I was looking down and the planet was underneath me, and it was so overwhelming and so emotional. I took off the VRs and there's like tears coming down my eyes, and Haley was like, "Oh my God," but not like it was.
It's so inspiring. And I'm sure you know this. It's called orbital perspective, right?
Yeah.
And so there's so many words to describe what that feeling is because it's so humbling, right? It's like, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, dude, honestly, you're right. It is so humbling because you realize simultaneously your insignificance, but also how important your life decisions are. It's like such a major juxtaposition between these two senses of, I am very important in the sense of contributing to humanity, to research, to all of these things. But at the same time, when you see the earth so massive and knowing there's like 8 billion people on it, you feel so small and your problems feel so small and everything that you've ever worried about feels so small, you know?
What's amazing is, how fragile and thin our atmosphere is. And this emphasizes like how interconnected we are and also our need for collaboration, right? To solve these global challenges. Because when you look at a map here on Earth, Google Maps, whatever it is, you see all the borders. But from space, non-existent. You don't see borders. You see land, you see the water, and you see the land. And that's home.
How do you come up with this stuff? That's so inspiration. That's so like, my mind is just blown.
Borders don't exist when you're in space. We're all living on the same rock.
This is why you're on Space Bites. It's because of these, you just drop these bombs of eternal wisdom on me. And I feel like my mind is absolutely, thank you. Honestly, thank you for
I am honored to hear that. That means so much.
Okay, so this is how you realize your dreams. Very cool, by the way. And how old were you when you started making these drawings? I'm assuming maybe around 5 or 6 years old.
I was 6 at that time. Yep.
Yeah. And what kind of people or memories helped mold you to become this person, this amazing person that you are today?
Oh, that means so much. Absolutely, my family. I mean, my mom and dad were very inspiring growing up as a kid. And they would always tell me, of course, work hard, be the best that you can be. But they would always, sit right beside me, give me that constructive criticism in such an helpful way, in a positive way. And they would always make sure I stay humble, stay grounded, know where you are, but also never give up and be resilient and persistent no matter what obstacles get in the way. So having that background at such a young age definitely played a huge impact in my life. And my older brother as well. Very different career path. He's in motion graphics design, but we're very supportive of each other. And we had such a good camaraderie and, being like brotherhood, right? Growing up as kids. So family definitely played an impact at that age for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I would be where I am if it wasn't for my family, and they don't even have to actively do anything, but knowing that there's this group of people that's going to love you and support you no matter what you do is so empowering. So I would say family also like played a huge role for me. Is there anyone else outside of your family that helped you out with this?
Yes. So I have a very close friend. I guess we're fast forwarding many, many years now. So once I moved to Boston, once I was 23 or 24, I have a very close friend. He lives not too far away from here. He's been so inspiring. Fun story. We briefly met when I was 9 years old, but we kind of just crossed paths and we didn't really get to talk much at that time. But as I moved to Boston and once we caught up again, we kind of ran the clock back and realized we were in the same place at the same time. And now more than a decade later, we end up in the same city as grown adults. And he's given me such strong advice on, finance, how to budget accordingly. Um, he's been such a mentor in terms of like getting back up when you get knocked down in any situation, finances, relationships, family, career, in every possible way. And when you know you have that shoulder to lean on, and when you can have that person to watch movies with and go out and get drinks with, whatever it may be, it just keeps you motivated. And I'm sure you've heard this before. Your true friends are the ones that are going to be there, not only when times are good, but when times are bad. Right?
Yes, that's very true. That's so. Would you want to take something of his up to space as a way to, how do you say, commemorate this friendship? Like
I
maybe
would love,
take a keychain. Yeah.
yeah, that's a wonderful idea. I can't wait to tell him about this actually after our conversation. But thank you.
So one of my super, of course, yeah. So one of my super close friends makes music. He's a pop slash rock artist, and when I originally read Chris Hadfield's autobiography, he mentioned that when he went up to space, his wife had chosen a specific song for the people down in the how do you say it? Like in the control room to wake him up with, like the specific song. So I told my friend this. I was like, when if they ever ask me what song do you want to play on the International Space Station to wake you up when it's time to wake up, I'm gonna choose one of your songs, and it's gonna blare through the speakers on the ISS. So your music is gonna play in space. And for me, this is how I want to commemorate and celebrate our friendship.
That's incredible. Wow, I love that.
It's pretty cool. Okay, so are you ready to move on to your sort of the midlife now? Grown, a little bit grown up, Noel. You're in your teenage years. Things are starting to get more intense, right?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So now that you know what your dreams are, how did you decide, or how did you think, okay, this is what I'm gonna do to get started on my journey of wanting to become an astronaut?
Absolutely. So now that all the puzzle pieces have kind of connected together, I'm going to go by achieving this, which is what I'm doing now, right? Building up my flight hours, joining the Air Force in due time once I'm able to start off as a training school. And at the same time, continue taking classes with the IIAS to build up that portfolio, stand out from the crowd. And whether it's G-force training, additional hypoxia training, scuba diving, that's a license that I do want to get this year, and also running the Boston Marathon. And we're going to get into that for sure.
I'm
Um,
excited.
Ultimately, make it into NASA in the future. Now, one of the things you kind of touched on earlier is my side hustle. So I call it LinkedIn on the go. So I've been driving Uber on the weekends for the past 3 years. Each year was dedicated to a different cause. Year one was to pay off my student debt. Year two was to pay off my car. Year three is actually to save up for a future wedding. Okay. And it's been an excellent strategy to network with people from all walks of life in the Boston area, which is where I live. And I call it LinkedIn on the go because I get business cards from my passengers. Sometimes I give them mine as well. We connect on social media and we have in-depth conversations. And you know what's so amazing? So many people are so inspired by the career trajectory that we both have of going to space one day. And you know what I hear most often is I would be honored to have my dream be lived through you. Because I don't think I'll ever meet an astronaut ever in my lifetime. So if I could watch you on TV launching into space, or if I could be at the launch site, I will have my childhood dream fulfilled, even if it's a different,
Dude,
right?
dude, people have said this to you?
People have said that to me. And on top of that, I'll give you one more thing. They also mentioned that um, they want to follow the journey. So they want to be on Instagram, watch the highlights. And it's just what I love about Uber. It's not that I'm only taking people from point A to point B. It's people get in my car with one perspective and they leave with a different mindset afterwards. It's almost like therapy on the go. I mean, there's so many ways to call it, right? It's not just LinkedIn on the go. It's like inspiration on the go, you know? And I know this sounds kind of morbid, but I live each day like it's my last, you know? I want to make sure that every day I can make others the best that they can be.
You're amazing. I honestly, you can tell from my face, I'm absolutely just mind blown by everything you have said the last 2 minutes. That's amazing. Like, people, dude, people get in your car thinking, oh, I'm just gonna, I'm going to work. I'm gonna go meet my friend. I'm gonna go get groceries, whatever. They don't realize that the moment they open that door, they seal their fate. Their lives are about to change having met, dude. Noel, honestly, man, every time I talk to you, you just blow my mind.
But it's a two-way street. I got to be honest, right? Of course, they're getting that, space adventure, I guess that kind of vibe from me, but I'm learning from them too. I always ask, what side hustle would you have if you have the time and resources? Because life is all about learning, right? You don't want to just think you have everything figured out because none of us have everything figured out, right?
Never,
And
no.
so I have developed this mindset of like, there's so much we can take from other people, the positive things, and apply that to our own lives. And it's just, and sometimes it's so simple. Like I'm just helping them with their luggage, or I just spray some nice air freshener. So that instantly they get in the car, it's like, oh, it smells so nice. Boom, already a conversation starter. I don't even have to say, how are you? It's already like your car smells nice. Then it's very easy going from there, right? So all these little like things really make an impact.
Wow.
Yeah. So you just got to be creative with it. And we're all creative in our own ways. But yeah.
Of course, yeah. For example, this podcast is my creative outlet. But actually, funny story. So talking about, meeting people along the way and sharing your astronaut journey, other than, of course, all the people that I still have in my day-to-day life, like my parents and my siblings and my friends, something funny that happened when I left Zurich to go to New Jersey. I was at the check-in desk at Zurich Airport, and I'm making conversation with the guy at the desk, and he was just kind of like, okay, do you know where you have to check in your bags? Like, this is your boarding gate. This is what time it is. And then he goes, oh, so why are you going to New Jersey? And I was like, oh, well, I've got this like astronaut training thing in Florida. And he goes, you want to become an astronaut? I was like, yeah, dude, who doesn't? And like, just in a very casual way. And the next day, when I already arrived in Florida and everything, I opened up my Instagram account to find that airport employee had found my astronaut Instagram and had followed me. And I was like, dude, what? I was so amazed, honestly. Like, I must have inspired him. I must have said something to him that touched him in some way. Otherwise, he would not have felt the need to like go and look me up on Instagram. You know what I mean?
What
Amazing.
touched his life. And like I was mentioning, maybe he may have had dreams of going to space one day and he met you very unexpectedly and he was inspired by you and now he's following you. That's amazing.
Another funny story. So you know how you have to do like this class 3 medical test for the IIAS. So funny story. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this on the podcast, but I know I'll tell you about it and then we'll see if I need to cut it out. So part of the medical test that I had to do was at Saudi Airline. I did this when I was back home. And part of the test that you have to do is a drug test, which means you have to pee in a bottle. And while you do this, someone is there standing and watching you. And in fact, so I was just sitting there, peeing in the bottle, and I was trying to make conversation with the doctor because what else are you going to do?
What
If
else
it's
are you going to
silent,
say?
it's just more awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more awkward. Yeah, exactly.
And so we're making conversation. At first, I was like, damn, like they really gave you the worst job, huh? Because if her job is just to stand there, watch people pee, like, so I laughed. She did not, but that's okay. And then I was trying to like break the ice. And afterwards, she was like, oh, so why are you doing this? Why are you doing the drug test? Why are you doing the medical test? And I told her about my journey to Florida. And I had noticed that she was wearing this lanyard with her like doctor ID on it. And he had a pin of an astronaut. And I was like, oh, I see you also have an astronaut. And she's like, yeah, I wanted to become an astronaut, but then she realized that she couldn't, or like, I don't remember the reason why. And then she was like, it's so inspiring that you're chasing after this dream. And so I carried those words with me. Like her dream, like you said, people are gonna live through you because it's not an easy thing to chase after.
And I'm sure you know this. I mean, that was an incredible story. And you know what I love about what you said? Like, it could have been an awkward situation, but you made it as comfortable as you can. And that just shows your grit. And that just shows your hard work and how much you want this. Because as I'm sure you've heard this quote before, maybe not, but you don't
Hit
want
me
to
with it.
you don't want to be existing. You want to be living, right?
No, stop it with me. No, honestly, that's yes. And see, the thing about what you just said, it might seem so obvious to people, but it's not. So many people just go through the day to day, not really just existing, just taking up space without actually putting anything out. But what you just said, like actually living means leaving a positive impact where you go. It's talking to people, making conversation.
And you know why
Amazing.
that's so important? We get one life on earth. We get one chance to do it right. That's it. Gotta put
I feel like you're quoting Pitbull.
No, I swear I'm just looking right at you and telling you everything from my brain. I'm not looking at you.
You only got one chance to make
Just
it right. Is that Eminem? Actually, I think that was Eminem. Did you
really,
listen to Eminem growing up?
I used to. Did
Okay,
he
so that's why. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to
Did
check
you?
that. Mm.
Okay, awesome. So this was your midlife. So now you figured out your dream. You know how you're gonna go about doing it.
Right.
Talk to me about this like student pilot thing. What was that experience like?
Yeah. So I started flying in June of 2023. Actually, July of 2023. June, I was doing my flight simulations, and July, I had my first takeoff and mid-flight and landing. And that's an experience you'll never forget. When you pull back on the stick, you have your CFI sitting next to you. Again, living that childhood dream, looking out the window and seeing everything just look smaller and smaller beneath you, right? And at first, your hands are trembling a little bit because like it's really happening for the first time. And so I fly one of the small aircraft, the Cessna 172s. And of course, when you're talking to air traffic control, you learn the phonetic alphabets, like Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, and you keep on going from there. And of course, you have your notes, you look at your wind speed, you look at your knots, tailwind, all that, so on and so forth. And as you continue doing that, you get different types of weather patterns. So you learn how to maneuver the aircraft each and every time you practice. You learn like the emergency contingency plans as well, what to do in an instance where it's a bird strike, for example, or it's really heavy winds. And you're just building up on that experience each and every time you fly. But your mind always goes back to like, when was the first time I flew and how far did I come to get here? Right. And you never forget your first takeoff and a mid-flight and landing. It's just a core memory, especially when you've manifested it for decades, right? It's a key moment. I don't know how else to say it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Of course. And so how do you, because like you said, you mentioned your hands trembling. How do you deal with nervousness? Because I think people have this misconception that maybe astronauts or aspiring astronauts don't feel fear. If anything, I feel a lot of fear, but it's about learning how to manage that fear, not letting it control you, but letting it manifest in a way where you learn what to stay away from, how to be focused. Like, yes, I'm nervous about this one thing happening. How do I make sure it doesn't happen? Studying more, being more focused, being more dedicated. So how do you deal with that nervousness or that anxiety that comes up?
My way of dealing with nervousness and anxiety is actually repetition. So the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it, right? But what's also very important, a lot of people, I feel like we're missing that in the world today. We have to learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? When we deal with something that's uncomfortable, a lot of the times we just want to give up. We want to just throw it away and move on to something else. But that's a chance for us to hone in on that, especially if it's what we want to do. If we've had this dream, like, I want to do this my whole life, but you feel uncomfortable at the very beginning, that's not a sign to give up. That's a sign to pursue that. That's actually a green light, not a red light. And I know I had that trembling the first time because I didn't know how far back to pull on the stick and how much to push the throttle and adjust the instrument controls. But that's because it's the first day. What can you expect on day one, right? So once I landed that day, I had a long conversation with my CFI and we went through the briefings and he said, just keep coming back as often as you can and you're going to be excellent in no time. So you mentioned like the class 3 FAA medical. I went ahead and got my class 1 FAA medical, which is going to be helpful for the Air Force as well. And so I went through the same process, had to do the medical evaluations and everything went perfectly fine there. And it was just an amazing experience. And I can't wait to see you fly as well. More than happy to provide that any way you can. It's just 30 minutes from where I stay, so it's not too far from where I live.
This is awesome. Yeah, this really inspires me. Getting my license to fly has been one of my dreams as well. And listening to you talk about it so comfortably and so inspiringly, is that the right word? Inspirationally, maybe, just makes me even more excited. And I knew honestly, like even the way that, like what you said about looking out the window and wanting a career doing that, even for me now, like when I'm on a plane, when we were on the extra 300L or on the like the small plane for the airborne imagery flight, I felt like I belong when I was in the sky looking down at everything being so small. It feels so peaceful and it feels like everything in my mind is quiet. Is quiet. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm not stressing. I'm not thinking. It's just peaceful.
You know what's amazing? Even though it's peaceful, internally, you're pushing past your comfort zone. And this sounds so counterintuitive. I've had these conversations with my Uber passengers. They ask me, how did you become comfortable with being in the sky? And I always tell them, do skydiving one time. Just jump out of the plane. I know it sounds like it's so scary, but you jump out, and once that parachute deploys, you know what happens? Smooth sailing all the way down. And it's so calm. It's so relaxing. Yeah. Just take that
I
leap. You know what you do? You got to take that leap of faith, literally and figuratively.
Damn, dude. Please write. You need to write the book. Like, you genuinely, all of these quotes that just come up in your mind so magically need to be written down somewhere. And like, because really, you could inspire so many people through these words that you say because words hold so much power.
What if I do this? What if I write the book, but I have you as my co-author? What do you say?
I would love it. And then it could just be your quote. And then my reaction to it is just me like getting super hyped up for everything that you say.
Let's do it. Let's collaborate.
Let's collaborate. Yes, isn't that the point of meeting people in life? It's collaboration, coming together and making something beautiful.
And that's what I love about the space station. I'm sure you agree with this. It's so many countries involved working on research together for the betterment of society.
I agree.
Yeah.
So does bungee jumping count? Because I've never done skydiving before. I have gone bungee jumping, and it's similar in the sense where until the rope is like stretched
Yeah.
out, you're kind of just free floating. I actually went bungee jumping twice, and it was like you're kind of just like free floating,
Yeah.
and you never forget that feeling of like free fall. You absolute weightlessness, and for a second you're like, dude, I'm just flying. And then the rope stretches, and you like start bouncing up and down. You know what I mean? But honestly,
Bungee
I wish.
jumping is a great way to do that. But
Yeah.
skydiving would be like my best recommendation.
Okay, I'll take your word on it then.
You got this. I believe in you.
So let's now move on to the present. And there's a couple of things that you mentioned that I really want you to, touch base on and kind of explain a little bit more. So you mentioned the Boston Marathon, for example. Is that something that you're pursuing at the moment?
Yes. So I plan on running the Boston Marathon next year, 2026. And I'm looking to participate with Boston MedFlight. So there's two ways to get into the marathon. Number one is you can, of course, qualify. Or number two, you can raise money for a charity. And Boston MedFlight, they are essentially it's critical care medical transport by air and ground. So that involves aviation, it involves healthcare. Aerospace medicine is what I've always been passionate about, right? So my goal, and that's going to be Uber year number 4, because we've done 3 years of Uber. Year number 4, we're going to raise money for Boston MedFlight, $15,000. I'm going to run that marathon. That's the plan. Now, the question is,
Amazing.
how does that tie into like space flight training and what we're doing now? As I'm sure you know, Sunita Williams has ran a marathon on the space station, and it's important to work out at least 2 hours a day in space if everything goes well, right? So I want to get in the habit of working on my cardiothoracic health, my cardio, my fitness, my overall strength training, my eating habits. Just want to be the most like healthiest version of myself, right? And I used to run a lot when I was a kid, and I kind of lost that along the way. And I think if I can run this marathon, if I can train for that, I can bring out that side of me again. So yeah, going to a good cause. So I'm really happy about that. And one fun fact, the Boston Marathon is the world's oldest marathon. That's very historic at the same time. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm so inspired by you, honestly. And you mentioned the physical benefits of running a marathon, but you should also mention it takes a lot of discipline to be able to run for that long. It takes a lot of like belief in yourself as well, because we both know you're going to be super tired afterwards. And being able to train every day for that, being able to show up on the day for yourself and for the people that you're hoping to inspire, the people that the company that you're hoping to raise money for, is not an easy thing to do. You know what I mean?
And you know what's
And when
amazing? Like you have to truly want it. You can't just fake it till you make it, right? Go ahead.
True.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a friend who he's got this tech startup, and in hopes of trying to make it go viral, he decided 2 or 3 days before a marathon that he's gonna run that marathon, and he just without prior training, he wasn't like running long runs or anything. Just showed up on the day of the marathon and ran a full marathon. And he absolutely he died afterwards, but it was just a way of like first trying to go viral on Instagram to get more followers for his tech startup, but also proving to himself that he's got the discipline and the mental ability to do something so amazing, you know? And running is one of those things where, for me, I'm a runner. I love
Yep.
running. It's something I do every day. It's my way of first reconnecting again with my mind. It's taking a break from, working on my laptop or reading a book or watching TV or whatever. And just, being in my head and going through my thoughts and organizing them and reflecting on my day to day. Does that make sense? So for
Yeah.
me, running is a form of meditation, listening to that, your footsteps on the ground. And so honestly, yes, you should, running is amazing. You should do it.
I wanted to ask you, did anyone inspire you to get into running? How did you start running in the first place?
That's a very good question. So I've always been a runner. It was something I started off, I think when I was like 9 or 10 years old, because I was part of a basketball team. So they used to make us run, for fitness, but I didn't really get into it in the way that I do now until I became an amateur boxer in the UK. And obviously to box, you need to have very, very good stamina. So he's actually the captain of my boxing team who actually inspired me to go, because he would make us run at least, I think it was like at least 15 kilometers a week to be able to try out for the boxing team. And he used to always make this joke like, oh, we're actually not a boxing team, we're a running team because we run more than anyone else. But the fact of the matter is when you run, it really changes you physiologically so much and mentally helps you prepare for the toughness of life. So I really, honestly, I thank him so much for getting me so intensely into running. Because now, even years after having, done all this boxing, I still run every day. Even if I don't box every day, I still run every day. Like this is something that I learned from him. You know what I mean?
Your determination is really inspiring. Like, I can't wait for everybody in my community to hear like, what you just mentioned. That's
And what you just mentioned too, dude, like honestly, you're so inspiring.
thank you.
Okay, tell me what else have you got going on in the present? How are you right now actively going after the astronaut dream?
So at the moment, I'm in addition to building up the flight hours, getting ready to join the Air Force, getting ready to start running, preparing for the marathon. It's actually going back to the day we met. I'm going to keep taking those IIAS classes, right? We're going to build up that portfolio and just keep inspiring people every step of the way. That's the plan. And, whenever funding changes, whether it's the federal government, whether it's NASA, SpaceX, Blue Origin, whatever it is, always staying up to date on information from them. whether they add more requirements, reduce the requirements, increase funding, decrease funding, whatever it is, just always stay in the know on like what's new, because aerospace is advancing so much every day, whether it's, weapons and missile technology, whether it's space station, technology, whatever it is, always being in the know is the best thing to do. And on top of that, attend conferences. That's a great way to get to know what's going on, new tech, biotech, which is my background, right? So yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
So 2 questions. First, is there a specific IIAS course that you're hoping to enroll in? For example, maybe the bioastronautics one, because that seems like it's your passion, or maybe AST 102.
Yeah, so the bioastronautics one is definitely something I'm looking into. And I'm also interested in the ingress egress training, where we're actually in the water. Because growing up as a kid, I haven't told a lot of people this, but I'll tell you, I actually used to be afraid of swimming. That used to be one of my fears. I was a really bad swimmer growing up as a kid. Now, as I got more practice, it got better. But
Of
there's
course.
still that part of me where it's like, I want to master this skill. I don't want to just do it. I don't want to just scrape by. I want to exceed at it, right? And with this course, I know it's going to be fantastic. So that's why I plan on getting my scuba diving license this year to prepare.
Scuba diving. So scuba diving is something that I've done since I was a kid, and it's something that I've done with my family. Like it's a thing, I've done with my mom, with my sisters, especially having grown up in Saudi Arabia, having the Red Sea right there. It was, again, it's like a form of meditation, because when you're underwater, the only thing that you can hear is the sound of your own breathing, right?
Mhm.
And it's just this moment where you're surrounded by all this blue and this beautiful wild, like marine wildlife. Honestly, I 1000% you should go for it. And just out of curiosity, how did you get over this like fear or nervousness around swimming?
I took swim lessons when I went to India one Christmas. So I was in India for a couple weeks. During those few weeks, I wanted to just conquer this. I'm all about like, I want to be the best at anything I set my mind to. And this is one of those things I was a little deficient at. And I didn't want that to stop me at any way possible. So my parents said, you know what, there's a swimming pool not too far away, like a recreational center, essentially. And they have instructors and they can teach you. We can just give them a call. And we did. And I went there that same day, paid the deposit. And the next 3 weeks, the instructor would physically hold me, make sure I had the right posture. And also like I was taking the right amount of like breathing, and just getting comfortable. Like I mentioned earlier, be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that doesn't happen in one day. It takes time, but it's all about having the mindset to want to do that. Yeah.
This is something you've met Stephanie, right? She came during our training. So this is something that Stephanie told me. The best advice that they give to astronauts is be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Literally, like that's it. So you're already like there, dude. Like you're already telling yourself something that astronauts, how do I say, like a phrase that accumulates an astronaut's experience. So you're already on the right path, honestly.
So inspiring. And I'm sure Stephanie must have spoke with you about the NBL, the Neutral Buoyancy Lab at
Yeah.
Houston. And that's something that I want to be able to master if given the opportunity, if I'm humbled to receive that, opportunity.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So this is, we're nearing the end of the episode. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the random question segment. I'm sure you've noticed, even throughout our IIAS training, I'm a very curious person. Sometimes I ask really cool questions. Sometimes I ask strange questions. Sometimes I ask questions that make you think, what is she talking about? Are you ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, first of all, so I'm gonna sort of like go, I'm gonna go through, I'm not gonna go in a specific order, but let's start with, how do you mentally prepare for isolation, physical stress, and pressure?
So one of the ways I do that is by actually it's meditating, and not just meditating, but just having the positive thoughts in your mind. One of the things I had the opportunity to do was a 10-day isolation confinement training at a hospital here. 10 days, no windows, no phone, no watch. You lose all sense of time. Okay. And it's pin drop silence in there as well. All you can hear is your heartbeat, and you have your IV machine. And this is one of the things, actually, this is one of the key moments in my life where I knew that I want to do this. Have you seen actually, let me ask you, have you seen the movie, oh gosh,
That's
uh,
fine.
Castaway?
No, I haven't. Should I? Because I've got a movie list I can add it to.
Highly recommend watching Castaway with Tom Hanks. That movie teaches you survival. It teaches you how to make it through the obstacles in life. And I'll kind of connect the two together. Inside this isolation, sorry, all I have is my IV machine, and you hear that beeping sound. There's nobody in there, but it has the name Baxter. So in the movie, just I don't want to give out too many details. He's stranded on an island. There's nobody there, but there's this volleyball that washes ashore. You know, the Wilson volleyball? He has the volleyball named Wilson. He draws a face on it, and he pretends to talk to that to prevent him from going insane because there's nobody there. I apply that mindset, and I pretended to talk to my IV machine for 10 days. So I didn't go crazy. Just because it had the name Baxter on it. It's just beeping at me. But without that, I would have just depended on my own thoughts. Of course, that's fine. But it's all about using what you have at your disposal. Just make something that's an object into something that can be like a human in the sense where you can like interact with it as best as you can. Use what you have to your advantage.
And what sort of stuff would you say to Baxter, just out of curiosity?
Oh, I would just say, so I can't say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening because how do you know what day or time it is, right? It's a timeless chamber. So
Oh my God.
I would tell Baxter, hey, beep if you're listening to me. It would make the sound. It's already beeping anyway, right? And I would say, beep if you think I'm doing okay. Like if I'm doing fine, beep again. So you know it's only going to give the same response, but it's giving you that reassurance, even though it's not a human being. Isn't that amazing?
Did that work? Did you really
Yeah,
feel reassured?
I did.
Wow.
It's all about we have to find what's around us and use that to our ability, even if it seems so crazy at that time. So those 10 days, it could have felt like months, but it only felt like a couple hours. Time just goes by so fast.
How did you? Okay, so 10 days is a long time. Would like, would you exercise, like do push-ups, run around the room? Did you like math problems? Like, did you have any books to read in the room?
Yeah, so they had a computer and they would test your reaction time. But part of this research study with the FAA, they would keep you awake for up to 48 hours or 72 hours, just depending on what they want to do. And they'll give you that exact same test while you're sleep deprived and see the difference in your reaction time. And they'll give you this clicker, and they have a big screen, and randomly a letter will show up, and they want to see how fast you can click it, whether you're fully awake or asleep, and also how you adapt. So even when you're taking a shower in that unit, you take the IV machine with you, but you can't take that in the shower. So you have to keep one hand out the whole time and just put shampoo and soap in one hand, right? And of course, I'm sure you've seen the videos of the space station, right? Showering is not the same in space like it is on Earth. So that gave me a little bit of an idea of like, go to space, you're going to have to be able to adapt a little bit, right? So food was fine. They give food every couple hours. But the thing is, it's not like every 4 hours. Sometimes it'll be like 8 hours after. It could be 2 hours after. So you don't know what day or time it is. So whenever the nurses would come in the room, they would never say good afternoon, good morning, good evening. They would just say, hey, Noel, how is your wake period? Or how's your sleep period?
Yeah, it sounds like something from like a dystopian movie, like your wake period.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy.
Wow.
Amazing. So it was called the FAA 10-day isolation confinement study. It was for pilots, actually. So it's so funny. I heard about this when I was taking the train one day in Boston. You know how they have these advertisements in the subways and trains? It literally said, please join our study. You know, and I
And you
looked
were
at
like, why not? Let's join
absolutely,
this isolation study.
let's find out and see, because I know when you're in space, you're going to be isolated. You're not going to have access to like a gas station or a restaurant or whatever, right? So I wanted to do this, and it was a paid research study. So they're even financing that as well, just to add that in. So there are paid research studies out there. I'm not trying to advertise for them, but it's a great opportunity if you're looking into that. Anybody who's curious, anywhere around the world. Yeah.
And so my question here is this. I don't think I'd have a problem with any of the stuff that you mentioned, except trusting the people at this place, like trusting that you're not just gonna forget about me, like forget to give me food.
Oh,
Does
no,
that
no.
make sense?
Yeah. So this is a hospital. So it's a really well-renowned hospital, and Brigham and Women's Hospital. They work with Harvard Medical School. So they're very trusted, and they have the cameras in the room to make sure that everything is safe and effective, and they're watching as much as they need to. And they're switching out the IV bags as well. So they're always making sure you're okay. But you are alone for the most part, and you have to be okay with that. Yeah. I had my Bible with me, and that kept me inspired as well. And I would read that from time to time. But I mean, you come out of that room and you miss what it feels like to hear normal sounds, like people talking. And how do I put this in words? It's like we take so much for granted. Even the sound of a car passing by, you begin to miss that when you're isolated for 10 days. You miss what it feels like when the wind is just blowing at you naturally. You miss the earth. You miss nature.
Wow.
Uh,
And you
But
survived this.
what's amazing though, not to get so like philosophical, but from the dawn of time, right? We've always been like adventure seekers. We're always expanding from country to country, from city to city. That's how we left from one place and expanded all over the world, right? And now we're ready to take that on to the next level and go to space. It's the final frontier. It's the next big thing.
But is it because right now we don't like, yes, we go to space, we go to the ISS, we go to the moon. We're hoping to go to Mars. It's not the final frontier though, because I'm hoping that someday we get to have intergalactic travel. You know,
I
like
hope, yeah. I don't know if it's
yeah,
going to be our lifetime, but absolutely. Yeah.
that would be
100%.
amazing. Like one of my favorite books when I was growing up was called The Astrosaurs, and it was about this like group of crime fighting dinosaurs in space. Like that's literally it was like a stegosaurus and like a bunch of other dinosaurs in a spaceship traveling around fighting crime. And I was like, that would be such a cool job. Like I would love to be that. You know what I mean? So if
Yeah,
intergalactic travel could become possible in our lifetime, that's definitely what I would want to be like that. This, space police.
absolutely. And that's the power of human ingenuity, right? And I'm sure you know, it's not just normal growth, it's exponential growth. Like everything is changing so rapidly before our eyes. Yeah.
So
I
moving
hope
on to our next question.
I kind of went off on a long story.
No, no, dude. Honestly, I love your answers. Your answers are amazing. Like, I wish we could just do this all day long. This is
Thank,
amazing.
thank you so much.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question. This one's pretty important. Why is Space for All such an important mission to you?
For me, Space for All means that we all work together, right? I know that sounds so simple, like you work together here, but when you have Space for All, you are bringing out not only the best in everybody, but like I mentioned earlier, there's so much out there for us to explore. We are just scratching the surface with the International Space Station, right? And when you mention intergalactic travel, I want that so bad. I would love to have that for not me and my family, but you and for future generations, kids and grandkids, so on and so forth, right? And Space for All means we all bring something to the table. We can't have where only engineers go to space or pilots go to space. We got to have people in art and design. We have to have people that are professors. And I mean, there's thousands of industries, as you know, the list goes on and on. We have to make a new habitat out there that's safe and effective, obviously, but we have to make a new, um, sorry, I'm getting lost again. I have to cut this.
That's fine. That's fine. So finding like a space where everyone can exist together
Yeah.
peacefully.
And I'm not trying to take this from SpaceX, but make life planetary, right? As they like to say.
Yeah. Is that SpaceX's thing? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they say Elon Musk likes to say make life multiplanetary, I think.
So what's been the hardest training moment so far for you in one word?
You're going to find this surprising. It's actually isolation. That was the hardest, but also the easiest at the same time. You know why? Because
Elaborate.
easiest in the sense where you're not physically doing a lot. You're just in one room for 10 days. That part is easy. But you know where the hardest part is? mentally. Mentally because, you see, in my case, I was able to use the Baxter IV machine to kind of get me through it. But not everybody is going to do that. One thing they mentioned in this study, you can quit and leave whenever you want if it's too overwhelming for you. You don't have to stay the whole 10 days. Inside the restroom, where you can use the restroom, they have a red lever you can pull, and that'll end the whole simulation. You have to fight that temptation to just pull that lever. It's right in front of you. You can look at it and you can see it. Like, if I pull that lever, freedom and everything is out the door. I can go back to what I do. But you have to fight that temptation.
How many times do you feel like this close to just going into the bathroom and like pulling on the lever?
At least once a day. Yeah.
And you fought the urge.
I did, because I know that I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a mission. And I'm here to accomplish something that nobody from Southwest India, specifically where my family is from, has gone to space yet. Like, that specific region of India, there hasn't been anybody in space. And I would be honored. And this sounds so like it's straight out of a movie, but I want to be remembered in textbooks. I want to be remembered for generations. Obviously we all live and we die. It happens. It's part of life, but not all of us are remembered forever. And if I can do one thing that can inspire people for generations to come, if I can be remembered, and all it takes, at least at that moment, was making it through 10 days. If 10 days was going to determine whether I'm remembered or not, how could I walk out of that room and just pull that lever and give up on everything? How could I do that to myself, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, I hope that makes sense, kind of putting it all together.
Honestly, yeah, it does. And what do you want to be remembered for? Because yes, your name can be in textbooks, but for me, for example, I want to be remembered for my research. I want to be remembered for my kindness and warmth and positivity. I want to be remembered for my intelligence and my grit and my discipline. You know what I mean? So what do you want to be remembered for?
Every single thing you mentioned, I want to be remembered for too. Like, literally,
Yeah, it's like saying like me too, like that sort of answer.
you just worded that exactly. Like, you just took the words out of my mouth. But if I could add one more thing, I want to be remembered for resilience and persistence, because it's so easy to just give up. Giving up is the easy option, but fighting to the very end, that takes true strength, inner strength.
And
All
to everyone listening,
all it takes is one yes. You could have 99 no's all over you, left, right, up, and down. All you have to have is that one yes within you to keep striving.
The book has been written. Like, the words are there. You just need to write them down. This is amazing.
I think we should contact a publisher. Maybe we should.
We should.
Yeah.
And just to end off the episode honestly, I don't think you can get any more inspiring than this. For everyone listening right now, whether it's like they're listening from the future, where astronaut Noel is like, oh, go listen to this podcast if you want to know about my journey. So to everyone listening, present or future, what do you want to say? What is your message?
My best piece of advice and the message I want to relay to the world is never give up, continue working hard, and most importantly, be humble along every step of the journey. And enjoy and live life to the fullest. That's what I would say.
That's amazing. This has been so much fun making this episode with you, sitting down, and I almost forgot that we're doing a podcast, because this is exactly the type of conversations we had back when we were in Florida. Keeping in mind the timeline of, we met on, what was it, like April 3rd.
3rd, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and then within 24 hours of us meeting, within 24 hours of that, Ken Hernandez lecture on coordinates and the mapping stuff, and like really struggling to do that together, and we just bonded, and we're already having such deep conversations, inspiring each other so much. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on Spaceflight with Benny. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you felt like this is a really good platform for you to get your message across to the world.
Thank you, Banan. I'm looking forward to being on future podcasts with you and amazing opportunities yet to come for both of us. To infinity and beyond.